just think some people are going to find that too bright. I know because it's behind me, but some might find this too dark. But I'm going to be changing location shortly. And we have two people here within the first 11 seconds. Welcome. So it's morning here. I don't know what time it is we're viewing. Welcome to say where that is. I'd be curious. Before I get this video, I kind of just want us to sit, and I know it's hard, and I'm not going to do it for long because I know that my thoughts are going to be starting as well, and the two people just left. But so even if this is just for me, and again, you can skip ahead as need be. And I can't guarantee either, one, that the audio is going to pick it up, and two, that the birds will be chirping. For me, I find that noisy birds get annoying pretty quick. But when I came in here and I was doing some messaging, and I'm just, some fresh, although damp air kind of coming through the room because it's been raining, and I was hearing the birds, and it's just like, I need to slow down and enjoy that for a moment. So I'm going to do that. Then we'll get started. And you can join. We've got relaxation music, although it's playing in the other room for the other person that's sleeping, and the occasional passing traffic, which I'm not sure if that's a relaxing sound. It kind of sounds like waves, kind of sounds like a form of tinnitus, and some people may be sensitive to it, it's true. Plus, when somebody tunes in, as somebody just did, I want to be kind of into the topic. But what I am going to do, for lighting reasons, and so that I can talk a bit louder because I'm on the same floor that somebody else is sleeping on, the rear left. So. I do really appreciate us both visiting with the dog in the morning. So it's only 8 o'clock though on an off day. Although usually we're up at 6:30 or 7. So, but I was up for like half an hour before I actually got up. So does that mean I only slept in for half an hour? But you know what? We got a long weekend ahead of us. So trying to remember what I do. Oh right, can't remember. There's a couple of things I'm just trying to do, and I don't want to step on this cord, so I'm gonna just hold up because I'm gonna be careful. Walk into the wall. I've done that before with my one laptop. I was carrying it, and that's why I don't know where my socks are either. I don't think. I was carrying it, and I turned into a doorway, something like this. And yes, that reminds me, my eye just caught something that I think is a kind of a good idea. Haven't really done it much, but when it's really, really hot out, if you don't want to spray your dog full force with a hose to cool them off, take a strainer and a bowl or bucket or something, hold it over them. Like the strainer will kind of give them a little bit of a light sprinkle, essentially. I know that sounded funny. Good thing nobody tuned in at that point. Eh? What? Are we talking ice cream? Or what are we talking? What am I doing? I need to make coffee. That's what I'm doing. And let a little bit of light down here. And I was looking for that other towel. Yeah. want the light. Well, I'm going to be in here, and I have a feeling that this isn't going to be bright enough when I'm in there anyway. Might be bright when I'm in here, but that's the purpose of light, right? To make it bright. No, just kidding, but I can be a bit sensitive to it, and especially in the morning. Yeah, it's weird. I know where one of my slippers is. I don't know if the dog walked off with the other one. And then my socks that I was wearing the other day. I just want to quickly check. And then I could barely hear the music upstairs. I'm like, is he up? But I don't have much of a breakfast planned for us. And I can't believe we forgot to put the lid away and the key. Not a lot in here, but it's a gloomy day. I think I should maybe make a bit more. And he's got some there. And then I can hope, although I will need to add milk and cream to that, I can hope that it'll be enough that it'll warm it up. But this is an old coffee maker. It doesn't always make it hot. So, and no, it's not my slippers. I'd like to maybe have socks on, but hopefully moving around or whatever, my feet will get a bit warmer. I don't know. Look at that. These cupcakes, a whole bunch of sprinkles are in the bottom of an empty one. There's actually none left. I just put a couple pieces of cookie in here because I wanted to get rid of the cookie container. I don't know. And there was a couple in there, I think, at the time. Okay. That's pretty stable on there. Back a little bit more. Watch it bounce forward. So we have a viewer. Welcome. So I'm just making coffee. Feel free to join me with one. The themes can sometimes be a little bit loosey-goosey, but I can at least start off with them and that's all right. But I know loosey-goosey is a funny phrase, right? So old-fashioned. That's why I didn't make any reason. That's quite a good. One of us drinks decaf, one of us doesn't. That's what the thing is. I was going to say the problem is, but it's not a problem. So I'm just making coffee before I get started here because I don't know. I'm whimsical. And it's morning here. And you're welcome to join me with a coffee or some other kind of beverage in the viewer left. So, never mind. But again, and I maybe shouldn't. It's true. Maybe I shouldn't. But the right people might stick around to hear this part or have skipped ahead. Maybe I shouldn't bring attention to when that happens, or at least not as obviously or verbally so. However, There's a part of me that thinks it's good for me to be aware of it. There's another part of me that thinks I should just be me. Maybe you be you, and I'll be me, and I'll be me. Albany? Japanese, Vietnamese. Okay, I think that's the third one. Sometimes you really do need to focus, even if you have ADHD. I was going to do more, but and I don't want to sit down and get comfy. I want to wait for this to be done. So just to keep that cushion forward. I'm amazed. In sleep and in a bath and with my hairy legs, I had to put a Band-Aid on my leg the other day, and it hasn't came off. And I'm sure I've used that box of Band-Aids before and had worse luck in that regard, as we sometimes do with those kind of things, right? I almost put the perfect amount of water in here to transfer over to there. Yeah, I've got a little bit above the line I usually fill it to, but not by much. Not enough to have a problem with. I may have also gotten a bit of an extra scoop or something. People that see up to this point. Oh, but as I kind of mentioned last night, and I did wander off, but just because somebody else does it doesn't mean that other people have to follow suit and are meant to, you know. And it also doesn't mean that it also doesn't mean, I don't know if I like that Bailey stuff, that I don't remember what I was going to say. Oh, that's nice. Although, I guess mostly I would say that it is nicer than saying something rude. It's true. I can't remember my other thoughts, so. I mostly think that people understand the idea of free will and choice and not, what's the phrase? Keeping up with the Joneses comes to mind, following the crowd or whatever it is. Everybody's different, I guess, right? Because I certainly know that the opposite's also true. And honestly, we probably all do it. All do both from time to time. That's weird. It says that the person whose message I just opened at the side, it says there's a new message from her, but there isn't. She doesn't even show it's online. What it sometimes does, but it didn't say it at the top, but I just clicked it from the top, is bounce back my own, even if it's sent through. She's online right now, but behind it, what it hasn't seen what I've most recently sent yet, and You don't want to wake up her household. It still says that this is new. And when I hover over it, it's previewing the one that I've already replied to. I've not ever seen it do that before. But you know what? I do get the sense. Um, okay. I'm not talking loud, even though I'm down here, although that will vary, perhaps. But um, two spoons on the go here. This is has stuff on top of it, I think. And I can hand wash that. It's really dirty. And I put it in the dishwasher. Because at this time in the morning, I can't imagine she's very busy. She might have a bit of a morning practice as well, but I'm just going to focus on something here for a moment because instead of coming right there, she is messaging me. So I know whether I'm to respect her or not. Although, that being said, and I'm not saying who, but that being said, if she was to come and watch, she would probably say something, even if she can't focus on commenting and watching it and listening at the same time, or can't stay long or whatever. She would at least say something to let me know she was there. Although sometimes I wonder if she sometimes just likes, but that's fine too. You know. Um, um, and then I think I've seen her do both too. And I'm not faulting her for any of this. I mean, it's cool. I appreciate it. It's cool. I don't know if I'd ever want to do that song on here, but it. And then there's "We Know It's Cool." I almost did that one, but then I didn't think it was suited for me. Not that I couldn't. I believe it's Gwen Stefani, but who does that? No, that's the same song. All that we've been through, I know it's cool. But then there's the one. It's cool. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. And then I feel like it does something like da, 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 the sound of your heart breathing. Maybe I'm in love with you. I think that's a different song because I'm hearing a different voice singing it other than mine. But I'm kind of curious. What are those songs? A little bit of name that tune. Nobody's here, but those that tune in afterwards. Was it Michelle that I? No. Who was that? Oh, right. That lady that worked at the Humane Society and was befriended. I don't know what the heck happened. Sometimes things happen in life, and if they don't feel like they're as close to you as you feel to them, or just different personalities, sometimes somebody will drift out of your life, or a misunderstanding. You never know when someone's going to come back into your life, though. And I think that's something that I'd like to briefly say is that, if you are missing someone who is still likely alive, but not in your life anymore, you never know what this life's going to do in that regard. And I can only hope that it all works out the best for you and that other person, you know. I was talking with someone just the other day, which is a perfect example of, yeah, it's worked out great. Oh, she's working today. Oh, really? Huh. Yeah, we won't go into that topic. But who knows what topics we will go into. Okay, I may have to sit down soon. But I don't think I want to put the AC on. I'm tempted to open the door, but we live kind of near a church. If it is raining, people. I mean, I saw somebody in the parking lot from our window because we live just down the street from it a little bit, and you can see it from our window. And she got out of a vehicle and opened an umbrella. It's that damp air, and also kind of similar to what the AC was doing. I guess we could deliver if we had to. It's that kind of, and he's going to want to make sure he gets up. So I'm going to try and keep this at an hour. We'll see. Kind of similar to what the sound. I don't know. There was a dripping sound or something. He says he's made that sound. It's made that sound before. He's made that sound before. So I've made that sound before, and there's a reason. Like with a lot of things. But I hadn't noticed it before. Never had before. But it's more so I don't know if I want to let the damp air in. The damp air and certain noises may be distracting. But it certainly is breezy out there, and it's the kind of weather where I don't know, damp weather, I don't know if it's good to have the AC on. I mean, I think sometimes you gotta, like in the case of upstairs, the AC is, like the one downstairs is actually a stand-up unit. The one upstairs is in the window. And I actually went up the other day and the dog was in there and I was going to open the window for him. And then it was like, oh yeah, the AC is connected, so attached. So, and it's screwed in too. So at this point, so, and sometimes when it's raining, it's still muggy, so, but certainly it gets cold in here sometimes. Okay. I just hold it for a moment. I do need to microwave that because, like I say, our old coffee maker. Plus, there was some in the pot from the other day, and then also I did put a bit of cream in there. So all the above, it needs to be a bit warmer. And I'm not sure if I'm feeling those cookies. Feeling like having them. Feeling the feels of them, man. I don't know what to say to that right now. So she's busy. I'm trying to focus. So it's all good. I don't really feel like the pizza either. Because that's one of those things that can kind of be a breakfast food, right? So here's hoping that I've made a pretty decent coffee this morning and I'll just maybe have the coffee. I'm wondering about maybe a piece of that cake. It's from the dollar store. It says it's imported from Italy. It's actually pretty good. Whoa. What did I set that at? 3 minutes? That would have been way too long. One thing that is kind of nice about the rain, I'm seeing two things actually. Maybe I'll just quickly flash. Neat umbrellas, and I don't know why there's so much traffic coming. Oh, it is Friday morning. Right. He's off work today. And I'm thinking it's a Saturday. I'm thinking it'd be a Saturday. But I'm being a bit obvious, but whatever. Again, it's all about kindness and respect and whatever. But I don't know. I'm curious to see how that came across on the. I almost want to do it again, but that's under a minute that my coffee's in. But what the thing is that we live in view of a lane that is near a school. And so, and often anyway, especially after school, because, they have things that they're going to and rides are maybe a bit more able to pick them up. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit mixed, but on a rainy day like today, there's less people going there on foot. And if the corner one happens to see this, yes, I know video. That's good. But don't worry, I'm not pointing this at your place, and and if I do, it's for like a few seconds, like only, like not enough to really see anything. It's a laptop, so it's a little harder to do that with anyway. But no, I don't even remember why I went over there. There was a reason, and it wasn't anything to do with the neighbors. And then, because I saw kind of a little bit through the blinds there, I saw somebody go past, and I don't know. Other than that, I don't know why, but I found myself walking towards the window, and when I did that, I saw the lady had an umbrella, and I thought, yeah, umbrellas can be neat. And then I saw the cars coming up the lane, and I flashed it so quickly. That'd be cool if I do get footage of that. If I can, in learning editing features, select just that section, extend it, like he does this in another program, extend it and use it as like a background. It's all about learning, and it might take me a while. I'm not the most tech savvy in this and that, but use it as a background for a meditation or, I don't know, something. But I just want to try and capture it again for a little bit longer, maybe. Right now, this one's trying to come out the lane, one's going in, and that one's kind of a large vehicle. And there's more going into the lane than coming out of the lane. So just a moment, please. It backed up. That little white car, I almost didn't see it. And there's a great big gap between the two. Okay, here. I don't know, though. I don't know if any of them can see me pointing well, maybe they just think I'm just watching things outside and holding my laptop and maybe not facing them, maybe not recording. It's also kind of cool. I don't know if it's picking it up through the screen or the window to see them splashing through the puddles. The yard's starting to fill out and get green, though, so. And if that didn't work well, maybe I'll look it up and see if I can find street lights, car lights and puddles and splashing. I don't know. Can't guarantee I'll find anything, though, so I'm glad I got a little footage. So I want to get to the main theme of this video now. Finally, half an hour in. No, in a way it was kind of loosey-goosey as well. There's that phrase again. I can't remember. She used mumbo jumbo, and she used another one I can't recall at the moment, but I don't want to think about grade school. I lost my dad while I was in grade school. But other than that, and a lot of other connections that maybe I haven't maintained, as sometimes happens. But other than that, it was good times, man, good times. And I mean, some of this I didn't expect to think about beforehand. I mean, I could have also, and it maybe did, because I was talking, it maybe did kind of lengthen the process a little bit, but I could have also made my coffee first and then came down. But just thinking about I'm waiting for, right now there's no viewers. So I'm kind of waiting for that. And I'm also just kind of figuring out how I want to kind of jump into kind of the topic I'd originally planned, which maybe I've sort of covered, but I knew where those damn socks were. There was actually two pairs over here, and I see neither of them. Is this a pair? No. I really should take better care of this, though. Maybe I'll show it off. That way I can always have it in the video, and I just have to remember what was the topic of this. Oh, right. And yeah, spirituality has been a real nice gift in some ways. But sometimes I don't feel like it's there, like it's something that I can access. And I know some people would say it's always there. You can always access it. And then I think you're leading it more than God's leading it, perhaps. But I don't know. But I wouldn't say the same about me, but I don't know. I should know all the time I spend on YouTube, not just making videos, but I don't know if live streams move. Like they're keeping up with what you're doing and previewing. Like there's a thumbnail, but while it's rolling, um, it is showing things. So you might see this. It's really well done, except the back of the horse doesn't. I guess I don't know if it's supposed to be a tail. No, the back doesn't look right. I'm not going to fixate too much on it, but I can't figure out what this little yellow and black bit is. But he knew, he remembered, even though it's not kind of the main thing that, well, it isn't, not the one that he mostly knew that did. He remembered that would connect to Dad. Yeah. Last night I was mentioning the confused philosopher and got into watching Air Farce, which I don't know. There is some American things, and it's not on anymore, I don't think. But old footage. Unfortunately, um, right as I was coming upstairs with the laptop, to get ready for bed, and I think he was kind of around too. They made some joke, and unfortunately also, but maybe this was kind of near one of their last episodes. I tried to tell myself that the cast, for the money or whatever reason, didn't keep doing the show after this happened or for very long. But they made jokes about self harm, and I don't find that funny. Although I will say, I once heard this joke about, I wish my grass was emo so it would cut itself. But I mean, seriously, it's not a joke. I mean, it's kind of like my dad. The only joke I remember my dad having, because I lost him when we were both young, honestly. And I was thinking about this the other day, and we actually do have, you can skip the next few seconds if you feel like you. I don't know. I don't know. I'll just say this much: I am an HSP sometimes, in some ways, not to scare anybody. I mean, I'm still, fairly level-headed, and I'm also very much an animal person. Um, but yet, the two things I'm about to say, I don't want to say that they don't bother me, but and I don't see this one dog very often in the area. And in fact, I don't know. I think we maybe have had two in the. Although I kind of think it looks like the same dog when I think about it, but I didn't think it looked like the same lady. Maybe that lady passed away, and the daughter's walking them now, and she's got a second dog. Because there's two of them, and that's the other thing. It used to just be it with the owner, um, and it would. It's a three-legged dog, essentially. But you know what? The positive in that is that it's gotten used to being that way. It actually moves pretty easily, and it still may have a great life. It's just like somebody, not to talk too much about this, and there's a bit of triggers connected to it. Three people actually, just like somebody who's an amputee. It's hard, it's sad, but they might still have a fairly decent life. You know, possibly some challenges, but it's not a bad coffee. Not a bad coffee at all. They may have some challenges, but it's not a bad coffee. So there's at least that. But my dad used to make this joke, and he was not that dark and twisted, and I don't really like that kind of stuff. And he was an animal lover. I grew up having dogs all my life. But he used to joke, "What do you call a dog with no legs?" No legs at all. Oh my gosh, Dad! Like, at least give it a couple. No, a person. No, doesn't matter. It won't come anyway. I never know what's going to come into these folks. That's why I say, if you have kids, unless you don't care, watch these with headphones or when they're not around. But I don't remember how this came up. I know there was a reason for it. I don't remember what it is now. But also, don't want to rush to the dog walk right now. It's wet and miserable out. Um, but yeah, I want to also focus on staycations. Maybe do videos about that, and that could be a topic because there's been a couple of times where one actually kind of almost locally where we're just likely not going to be able to do it, and uh, I still need it. So how can I still make it happen? And actually, nobody's watching right now, but that would have been a really great random social question: is have you ever taken a staycation and what did it look like? What what's your favorite memory connected to it? Have I? I haven't taken a lot of vacations, which is like vacate actually. Um, well, the first thing that kind of comes to mind, Rip Marnie, and I don't know, there was a fire, two people died, and I don't know. I understand kind of why they do it, but I don't. Why not tell us who, in case we know them? You know, not everybody jumps onto obituaries from time to time and goes browsing. You know, and I go through moments where I do that, and it's with my ability. Although, like I say, death is still hard. With my ability, a lot of people would do it, and maybe I'm weird, but I know I'm not the only one. And a lot of old people do it. Well, some people say they're more likely to know more people that have passed away, but honestly and truly, anybody can pass away from anything at any time. And I want to get back upstairs soon because, when I think about that and talking about that, especially with someone who has a condition that sometimes um, flares in sleep, um, and may or may not, but most likely wouldn't be fatal. It's a worry, but we all can. And that being said is naive to that. I can't believe it. I mean, maybe most of the demographic, and that one didn't say anything about being ageist, and they seen and heard me, and or she, they, whatever. And I didn't mean to say they at first, but I was thinking of the place as a whole. But I don't know. Anyway, possibly saw my birthday. It wasn't that. It was not having it. And I didn't know. I didn't know for sure. But anyway, I sometimes do it. And actually, recently, in one of those, I don't know if you have them where you live, but they have these. Some yards have these little. They look like houses, little miniature houses on a post, and it's like a little give and take library. I don't read books very much, really, though. I mean, I can't focus. I mean, I read online, and there's the option to interact or hop around a bit. I don't know. I'm not a book person, but it does make me think of somebody who's come up a few times this week, actually, and how she said, that the epilepsy is going to do what it does. I can't control that. All I can do is love and be there, and yeah. So, um, but I'm starting to feel anxious based on the topic matter. But sometimes we have to sit through that a little bit, and man, how brave and strong I am to do it. And you as well. Not that anybody's here right now, but whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Where can I send it? Sure, okay. But I haven't been up very long, of course, right? But no, I do it some. So we have a book. I forget what it's called, and it's localized, but some of them are quite old ones. But I didn't realize when I took it that it actually is the local author, and it's something about. Well, I don't want to be super specific, I guess. But no, the reason I do sometimes, and it's been a few days. Well, kind of, sort of. I was looking up somebody who is older and has some health problems, and I've kind of lost touch with her, and. and her ex passed away not long ago. But um, I do it almost hoping to see someone that I'll be familiar with for a couple of reasons. Let me explain. One, if I can get to it, not that I go to them often. Uh, well, in case, in no particular order, um, in case they are connected to someone I know, so I can offer condolences and to be there for them. In case I might know them, and if I can get to the funeral, great. There's been some people that have passed away in my life that because you can't know everything, no matter who you are, you can't know everything all the time. I've not found out about till afterwards, um, or they didn't have a funeral, or they weren't local. And if there's a fourth reason, I'm not sure. But the third reason, and I would usually do that, but I started with this finger, as some people do, or at least I think I did. Anyway, point my ways is because I sometimes feel when somebody passes away, because I have experienced body experiences and telepathy abilities, mostly for my own loved ones. I do it, just how it happens. It's it's a loss, but it's not. And I know that I can still continue a connection with them in a different way. And sometimes it actually becomes stronger, even when it's somebody I'm fairly close with. Like I think about this friend Ray, and I mean, I knew her in my adult. She was one of my closest adult friends as an adult, I should say. Um, and you know, what even while she was living, although like thankfully, and I mean, don't be jealous because it like I say, it's still hard, and and sometimes what's channeled is very deep, or at least feels, and it's it's not all the time. I mean, it kind of makes me think of what I want to do tomorrow because actually it's my dad's birthday tomorrow. But um, I can do that tomorrow, and we can talk about that. But we could talk about how do we celebrate loved ones in special occasions without our loved ones, while still kind of trying to make them feel like they're part of our day, part of our celebration, included, right? But no, so sometimes I'll do it because it's like, oh, I do know that person. Okay, well, I guess I'll channel them sometime soon, you know. But I do. I almost feel like I'm closer with Ray, both when she was living and now that she's passed, than I was with my own dad. I mean, again, I only had him for so many years of my life, not very many, really. He worked a lot. I had school. I had other things I was involved in after school. Uh, some of which, parents were able to be there. In fact, I don't remember. Interestingly, um, I was in a play as a kid, and I've never forgotten. And that one group I was able to go to recently. Not only did Guy have the connections to that area of Ontario, but he mentioned not necessarily that performance, but a performance of the same show based on a movie/musical. And I can't believe I didn't get more emotional, but I can hold it together sometimes, usually. But and I'm used to kind of thinking of this sometimes. I remember, and actually not that long ago, actually I did too. Both of these weren't that long ago. I remember more than I remember my mother being there, my dad being in the audience and smiling. And I know that he still is doing that from the afterlife, as with the others. But it's yeah. But some things were more drop off and pick up afterwards kind of things. Um, they were never sporting events. I can tell you that much. Um, so they were things. They were truly things that were either more of like a craft group or a rehearsal for something. Um, yeah. So So I'm so thankful that now that he's passed on, we can actually feel at least a little bit closer at times. Um, but again, that's kind of going into a topic I might want to do for tomorrow. So, but let me quickly address, because it's almost 9 o'clock here, and that is sleeping in for both of us, and we want to get on with things here. I mean, it's kind of getting a little brighter and clearing up to really up soon. And of course, school might. I mean, it feels like it's been a while, but school might still be letting in, so it's going to be, a lot of cars kind of coming down even our residential street and splashing through. I don't know. No. Anyway, but I wanted to do this topic just a moment. It's not a bad coffee, not a great one either, but I can't afford to go out for. I can't afford physically, financially, to go out for a coffee every day, and I wouldn't want to go into that plaza, and it'd be even further otherwise. And you know, this guy that I was alluding to that I recently met at a group and may not ever see again because I don't quite qualify for what the I don't quite meet the qualifications yet. Anyway, and he's older and has a bunch of health problems. But he said he has 6 cups of coffee a day, and always out and about. And he didn't. I don't mean to be rude in saying this, but he didn't strike me as someone that necessarily, because of health and age, partly, necessarily lived the busiest life where, you know, because a lot of people, and I was reminded of this recently, I'm not exactly one of them usually, but a lot of people, it's like their fuel, their gas, their fuel. That's a bit better word maybe to get through the day. Is just coffee. Okay, I'm feeling a little zombie brain dead. I still have a whole bunch of stuff to do today. More coffee, and they just whether it's at the office or out and about. At the office, at least it's free usually, but yeah, I mean, I do it in the morning. I do it after a nap. And otherwise, I don't. If I'm a zombie, I'm a zombie. In essence, you know what I mean. And sometimes I'm not zombie enough. And my definition of zombie might be a bit different than other people's. Not that I'm saying they're wrong. And we don't have to talk about zombies because this is really the extent that I'd be willing and even comfortable doing. But like, just kind of like, I can be. I'm not operating machinery. I'm not driving. I fairly often don't have commitments, and this is the thing. And I'm saying it 48 minutes into it, but whatever. Um, I woke up this morning. Once I actually got out of bed, I laid in bed for a little while. Once I actually got out of bed, I thought, you know, anyone doing his fitness thing in the other room anyway, because it's not bright in there. It actually might be brighter over here, it seems like. But I said, oh, do I want a podcast? What would I podcast about? And my mind was a little bit active as I was waking up. Once there was some noises that were kind of. Sorry, nobody's here at the moment, but I'm wanting a bit of background noise. But at the same time, one thing I can say about epilepsy is it is it usually, or at least the the form that that other person that lives in the house, another user of this channel, or the channel has, and thankfully it's being remedied by medication and possibly cannabis. Um, is Yeah, it is a bit of a worry. I mean, we can usually kind of tell because watching, listening for it, kind of thing. In sleep, in sleep, and it usually starts off with a whale, not like the water creature, but I don't want to do it. I don't want to be too noisy. I mean, it's got music playing, but kind of thing, Woo! Like it sounds like, and it's usually just one. I don't know if I've ever heard one that's been two, and it's kind of like almost what somebody might do if they're waking up from a scary dream, which I can analyze your dreams, but not nightmares, please. But whether that's sleep dreams or dreams you have in life, but for life, and sometimes they connect, sort of. But and I realized, and maybe I've kind of realized before, but not super strongly. What am I seeing? Right. That I sometimes I have an idea and I think, oh, that can make an interesting podcast. And other times, and this coming week, I do have 2 or 3 meetings where, not business meetings necessarily, not really business meetings, but meetings just to kind of talk about things I want to talk about, kind of counseling, but kind of not. But what the great thing is even if I'm not in the role of volunteering yet, it's allowed to be mutual. I mean, even in counseling, I would say that, especially with certain types of clients, it could be a very mutual experience. We both learn from each other. Just because somebody has a degree and a title does not mean that they have all the answers. I mean, seriously. So, and I certainly don't claim to. I think I've figured a lot of things out, and I always am. And somebody would say, I don't know where the other day. I don't know where you stand on things as far as God and Creator. And I said, what's that? What'd you say? I said it again. I said somewhere in the middle, probably. Like, I do believe God is the Creator. I mean, I don't think we should not call him God. I don't feel, and we don't have to get hugely religious. I don't feel he's almighty, that he is a miracle worker. He gives us each other to coexist with each other and help each other out. And one thing she did say is that he makes us who we're meant to be, but we can always grow. That wasn't the word she used. It may have been evolve. I can't remember. But grow is the word that I think as well. But anyway, but I realized that, and I'm curious, other people that YouTube, whether they very randomly do it or they're more prepared with it, do you find that you sometimes do it if you're, this is actually kind of getting feeling too, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling, I haven't seen this in a while, I didn't even know it was up here. If you're feeling lonely, if you just want company with your thoughts. Like, I don't think I'd ever title one that, because I like the title I gave this one, but I don't want it to seem like that's what but it is in some ways. But again, it's not all about me, it's about other people I'm thinking about, and it's about what's on your mind, but nobody's watching right now. We're 54 minutes in. Oh, actually, somebody just tuned in. So I'll just repeat that because I think it's really worthwhile. They're only here right now. When I do these videos, it's not only about what I'm saying and my thoughts, but it's about the value that you can bring into it and what your thoughts are, whether it's based on what I'm saying and the viewer left. They're like, you don't want to know my thoughts, or I don't want to talk about my thoughts. And that is, some would say, especially with men, I had someone the other day, same person actually that I was talking about earlier, say, you don't talk, and she's in her, actually she was 70. I thought she was in her 50s or 60s. She says, you don't talk like a lot of men that I know or am around. She says, a little bit like one of my brothers, she says. But she says, you have, what'd you say? More, you have different ideas in the way that you approach them or something like that. And I said to her, I says, well, there's always variety, and I think this day and age, and maybe that's maybe a more old-fashioned kind of way to look at it or expectation, but these day and age, whether it's because of the internet or because men are just being, getting more and more comfortable talking about their feelings, you know, um, they do so. So, um, in somewhere or some form or another, and that's great. You know, I think we all need to sometimes. So, in fact, I would, sometimes I have a bit of a pet peeve where I focus a little bit on the phrase "I think." I mean, and the smartest people can use it, and I'm not saying it makes them dumb, but whether it's just something that they feel very strongly or that has a lot of research and proof behind it, a lot more times I think it's like, I know that. But I mean, I do it too sometimes. Like, I think that's why I think, I know that's why. That was brilliant. Where were you? Nobody's here. Hopefully, they'll hear it afterwards. I know that's why I did it because I did. But yeah, um, but yeah. So I won't lie and say that, and lately I've been in a rut, and I mean, I've got some things going on, but I have a lot of time, and like somebody said, you have the freedom whenever you have an idea to podcast. Although a lot of people post about their ideas on one platform or the other. They may not do a great big podcast, or maybe they do a small podcast. Like, it's not that unusual, even for busy people. But in a way, it's kind of it's. I'm glad that I can, you know. But yeah, so part of it is not wanting to be alone with my thoughts, some of which I don't even know that I'm having until I'm in the video doing it, and it's like something comes up, and then you know. But it's a mutual thing, whether it's your opinions on what I'm saying or something you're going through, it's a mutual thing, and I don't want us to ever forget that either. But I haven't been up super long, and I've now been rolling for an hour. It is kind of muggy, yada yada. Gonna go see how he's doing upstairs. Bring this device up. Now he'll want to be on it for a little bit, and then hopefully find something to watch and enjoy each other's company downstairs before he goes and does his fitness thing. And as far as the dog walk, might just have to be in the rain today, because I mean it's wet out either way. But we don't have a grassy yard really. Not yeah, but so it's unfortunate that at this point this hasn't been more active. And it's also weird. The one we did last night, we did decide we would like to edit, but it was right before bed. The last part of it off. Um, right now we have private edits, so we do so. But it was weird. Like, it was way down, near one from October, in the list of lives. And I don't know why lives in video tab does not show the lives. You have to click live for it to do that. I don't know. Um, I was thinking, and I'm using a little bit of energy to say this. I was thinking of maybe kind of saying what I don't have any ideas at the moment for the next podcast, which may be today. Well, I don't have many ideas. That could change. So, but some people will like that. If you don't, look onwards. Either my other videos or do something else or whatever. But yeah, but at the same time, it's kind of like I might do one or two songs. I might feel a bit more comfortable doing it once he's awake. At the same time, they are kind of deep, and I actually messaged somebody about this. I probably feel like some reason. And unfortunately, somebody can just collapse and pass away sometimes. You know, in a way, it's kind of nice if they're doing something that they love at the same time. Like I almost thought my grandpa was going to pass away golfing, but then he just had to give up golfing because, you know, with his aging and that, he was 94, I think, 93 or 94 when he passed away. Um, but you know, so but yeah, I've also said with these couple of songs, essentially about dying young, that I don't want to. Oh, three. I don't really want to do them around him either. So does that mean not do them? I mean, the one I've been thinking about the lyrics a little bit, and yeah, I kind of think maybe not. And then the other one, it's quite a fun tune. Miles Jagger's about the artist, but so I might do that later. But nobody's watching, so I won't say more than that. Make any specific promises. Um, but there's a couple of things calling me to go back upstairs, so I'm gonna do it. I'm just sometimes numerology numbers type of thing. Why was I going to mention a Lauren? I don't even know if it was that Lauren, but I've only ever known 3 in my life, and none of them super close, and 2 of them from the same area. I feel like maybe within this video, or maybe one last night, I was going to say something about a Lauren, and I can't remember what it was. So, what does forlorn mean? Does that mean it's forlorn? I don't know. Is your name Lauren? If so, I think you're meant to comment on this. Find something within this to comment on in kind and respect and or curiosity. And yeah. But this is near the end, so unless somebody skips to this point, they're probably not going to hear that anyway. Okay, gotta go. Bye.